Hello and welcome to Strategies and Techniques for Fall of 2024. I'm excited to teach this class again. It's been a couple of years. Dr. Kirby had taken this over for me. This is a unique class. It's a unique opportunity in that you will be challenged in a way that you've never been challenged before in your lives. I'm thinking back across many, many years of teaching hundreds of counseling students, including my time at Adams State University, and I can think of one student, not even a handful. I can think of one student that came to this class with very little to gain, meaning that the student already had developed a lot of the skills that were necessary for this class. That student was raised by a psychologist and a licensed counselor. That student had already developed a lot of the communication skills that are going to be necessary and emphasized in this class. Otherwise, across the board, I can think of every other student that I've instructed needed this class. And this class will challenge you psychologically and emotionally in that it's going to ask you to change deeply ingrained patterns of communicating. This class will be especially challenging for people who are educators or who have worked in the field as case managers. Case managers and educators are purposely taught to impart information primarily and not to deal with deeper emotions. And therefore, there are patterns of communication that people then engage in that keep us from then going deeper into deeper emotional territory with people around us. A lot of times, our society also teaches us ways of communicating that keep us from engaging in deeper emotional conversations with other people. In other words, we're a superficial society when we interact, when we engage with each other. We're very quick when we hear somebody who has experienced a loss to say, "I'm sorry." And you're like, well, okay, yeah, you're supposed to say that. Yes, you say you're sorry and you offer your condolences. In therapy, saying I'm sorry means that basically you can't handle the emotion that that person is going to possibly give to you. In therapy, what you want to do is you want to provide space for that person to be able to talk. And so that's what we're going to really work on this semester is breaking down patterns of communication that hinder a really deep therapeutic alliance and the ability of that other person to get into a place where they feel safe, where they feel that they can really go into a lot of depth with their emotional and psychological lives. So be prepared. I don't have anything personal against any one of you, but I am going to challenge you. It is going to be a class where you get critical and sometimes maybe difficult to hear feedback. A lot of you have been in places where you came to wanting to be a counselor. And so yeah, I've already helped my niece. I've already helped my nephew. I gave them this advice. I gave them that advice. You will not be giving any advice in this class. If you do, you will be graded down. This is not about giving advice. If you want to give advice, it's probably better left in a different realm, in a different arena. And so when people come to be a counselor, they don't really expect this class. There's a trajectory of people when they come into a counseling program and go through it. And there's people that studied this over a long time, 20-year period, and looking at 100 or so people and how they experience development into being a counselor. And a lot of times people question themselves if they're really cut out to do this at this stage. And it's okay. That's where you're supposed to be. It's almost like, oh my gosh, I thought it was going to be this and it's that. But don't be scared. Embrace the challenge and be open. If I can say anything to any of you, please be open to feedback. It comes from a place of me being specifically trained in this, watching this for, many years, going through it myself, working through it with many, many, many students. It comes from a place of your clients, when they eventually come to you, getting the best possible version of you that they can. So let's go into what the expectations are for class. The expectations for class are laid out here in the syllabus. And it should be fairly straightforward. The biggest thing for this class is that we will be meeting in person 3 times. And I don't have those dates yet. I will release another video. I will release an email that gives you the dates when those will be. I know a lot of you want to plan. I want to plan too. I don't have the dates available because there are a couple of things that I'm waiting on when I will be here. Please know, here's my contact information. Here are my office hours. This is a good book. Please make sure there is not a new edition since 2016. This is still the most current copy. We will be maybe addressing slightly the code of ethics. This is looking like a 2024 update, but we'll talk about that soon. Welcome to Counseling Strategies and Techniques. This one will be, it won't necessarily be the most time consuming, but it will be challenging. A lot of people look back on these live classes where they've had to attend, 3 Saturday sessions or weekend sessions and say, yeah, they were a big pain at the time, but they really, really helped me be a better counselor. So when we get our exit interviews at the end of the program, when people are finished taking classes, these are typically highest rated classes. You're going to be asked to synthesize information by doing it, by actually trying to counsel in the chair with each other. I'm actually going to leave a couple of videos from prior semesters up because I think they're important. I go into a little bit more detail what that looks like. And so even though I may have long hair in one video and have a sweater on in another video, please know the video with me in the cream colored shirt, that's the most accurate as far as dates goes. Because those others will have inaccurate dates. And one of them, we were still under COVID precautions, and we did this class via Zoom. This is a required class for both MCP and MED students. You're welcome to look at our mission statement, our goals. The primary learning objectives here to me are to be able to demonstrate the very fundamentals that are necessary to be able to counsel somebody. Here's how you'll be graded. You have a syllabus and rubrics acknowledgement. Please make sure you look at those on the left menu here. You will have 2 case studies or case conceptualization exams. One of these will be your final. The other one will be your midterm. Those will be released at a later date where you're given a vignette and you have to go through and describe what you would do in those cases. You'll also have experiential learning exercises, and those are our live classes. Please know attendance is absolutely necessary. If you have to miss a class, I would say take this class at another semester. And so those dates are going to be very critical. You cannot miss a Saturday. And I would say if you're going to miss a Saturday, take this class later. What's bad about making that decision is you have to have this class before you can take supervised, and you have to have supervised before you can get into practicum. So if at all possible, it's really hard to it's really hard to overestimate how important those Sunday or Saturday classes are, weekend classes. You'll have 5 discussion posts and 5 assignments. So most weeks you'll have something to do if you're not coming to class. You're also going to be rated on your personal and professional disposition. We'll talk about what that is in a couple of moments. So here's how the scoring breakdown, a little bit more information is provided here under the evaluation and grading. You're going to be expected to be out of your comfort zone in participating. So if you sit back and don't participate, you might not pass because you have to show you can at least try to counsel. I know you're going to be nervous. I know you have that anxiety, those butterflies, but you have to start somewhere. We'll talk about this personal and professional disposition. You'll either get a grade of adequate or inadequate. And here are the grades. It's a 10-point grading scale. There's the exams. This talks a little bit about the rubric there. The classroom experiential counseling exercises, that's about 40% of your grade, what happens on the weekends. Again, class participation and attendance is necessary for this class. If you cannot pass the class unless you attend all 3. This is standard across programs. If you went to Adams State and you missed 1 day, you have to take the class completely over again. Again, all 3 days are necessary. If you miss a lot of live class, you're subject to repeat the course. Okay, let's talk about personal and professional disposition. This is a difficult one because there are some hallmarks of having a good disposition. I would say a good disposition in this class is maybe feeling like an imposter, maybe feeling like, oh my gosh, am I doing this right? Deeply questioning yourself, being open to feedback, taking constructive criticism, being introspective, thinking about what you're doing, sometimes being in your head, not being present with the client. These, making mistakes. Those are okay. Being okay with making mistakes. Those are signs of a good disposition. A very poor disposition, inadequate disposition would be someone who doesn't take feedback, who argues with the reasoning behind, having to do some of these things. If you already feel like you know everything about counseling, then maybe it's not for you. And maybe you're like that one person I encountered who both your parents were already in the field and you do know a lot about counseling, maybe even more than I do because you've lived it your whole life. Please know we try to design this around KCREP standards. KCREP, or American Counseling Association standards, do require programs to assess disposition, and that's to avoid harm to clients down the road. What I tell people is, what I'm looking at, yes, I do want you to develop as people professionally, interpersonally, emotionally, cognitively, psychologically. But at the end of the day, what I'm really looking out for is the person who is going to be in the chair in front of you. So if I see like overt racism, misogyny, these things that, deeply held biases that you're not willing to work on or work through, those are reasons that you could really do harm to somebody who sat in front of you. And so, not just like ethics or multicultural where you're working on biases. This is one of those classes where, you are going to be required to work on some of these things. And each one of us have them. Doesn't mean you can't be a counselor, but you have to be able to work through them and be present and psychologically available and caring for that person who's in front of you. Oftentimes we're working with people who have already been significantly injured through abuse, neglect, whatever it might be. And if we perpetuate that as a role of a helper, I mean, literally, you could have somebody walk out of an office and kill themselves because they came to the office looking for support, looking for acceptance. So please read through these standards. There's a remediation process that's involved with people who do not have an appropriate disposition. Please read through that. There's some rubrics. Okay, and here's the point breakdown. You can see the discussion boards are worth 100 points, the 5 assignments. Those will be in lieu of discussion. So I try not to double up having a discussion board and an assignment due the same week. Some weeks you'll have an assignment, some weeks you'll have a discussion board. Most weeks you're going to have something to do for this class. There are 2 exams. They're worth 100 points each. You can see the counseling demonstrations and participation. That's worth 300 points for a total of 705. Please look through this for written assignments, those kind of things, decorum, respect, professionalism. Another thing is you are in a Master's of Counseling or Master's of Education program, and this is your chance to audition for what it's like to communicate professionally. If you're going to email me, please make sure that's in a professional way. Don't text word, don't do like a Twitter handle, like only so many characters. Email me, like, dear Professor Randolph or Dr. Randolph, or whatever it might be. However you want to address me, a formal layout, and then, thank you, here's my address. I have so many students that just, are we going to have an assignment this week? And that's it. It's like, do you know how unprofessional that is? Now's your time to work on your professional communication. You'll be required to communicate with supervisors, with other LPCs, with attorneys, with, parents, with stakeholders. And you are, when you have a license on your wall, it's not just somebody who's using their thumbs to communicate. Use this opportunity to work on your communication skills if that's something that's challenging for you. Okay, please know that it's not just, so 75% of classes, it's all three of the classes, okay? And if you don't do 75% of the work online, your grade's probably gonna be reflected anyway. If you have, I don't know how you could use AI. A lot of this is personal reflection. I think I could still be able to detect if you're using AI. If for this class, I don't see why you would need AI. A lot of it's personal reflection. There's stuff about plagiarism. If you need accommodations, please know you need to do that here within the first couple of weeks of class, so I can make accommodations for you. If you've gone by and you've not said anything that you need accommodations, there's nothing I can do retroactively to help. Here's a student complaint protocol. Please look through that. Here's our tentative schedule. Again, I'm going to come out with the weekends. I'm not sure what the weekends are. We may have a Sunday mixed in there. It says Saturdays. We may have a Sunday mixed in there. So please make sure you jump in, do the introduction activity, look at the syllabus and the rubrics in their entirety. Otherwise, you're welcome to look through this, and it's laid out there. I have a couple of other videos I'm going to leave up just for you to laugh at my appearance. Otherwise, please know I'm available usually by email. That's a good way to get a hold of me. And I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Hopefully I've covered enough of this that that you all kind of know like what's expected. I think I'm still sharing my screen. I think I am too. So reach out if you need anything. Please use email if possible. And I'll be as quickly as I can. I'll jump back in and talk to you. So take care. I'll see you soon online, and I'll release another video with those dates.